Hello, 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 everyone. This is Dr. Mary Payton with All About STEM Radio. I come to you every Monday from 7 to 8 p.m. Central Time here on Fishbowl Radio Network from Globe Life Park, Arlington. And hey, y'all know I'm happy to be back at the house. And so, this month is a wonderful month. It's Black History Month. And I have a wonderful guest that's going to be coming to you today from Howard University. So I have on my Howard shirt, so I have to represent for Black History Month. And I have been posting all month people in our Black history, because there's one thing that I noticed as being an educator when I retired from the military. A lot of our kids would tell me, well, nobody like me has done this, or nobody like me has done that. And I always made sure they knew that there are a lot of people like them that have done many, many things. Now, I know we are in trying times now, and I know we can't get out and do some of the things that we want to do. So don't forget, I still have my 2 books, which are now certified good read by Reading with Your Kids. So they both have received awards: Taylor STEM Adventures Texas and Taylor STEM Adventures Hawaii. You can get them on Amazon. If you get them, please, please, please leave a review. And also, don't forget to follow me on Facebook, because we all can't get out like we want to right now. So I am taking it up on myself to go to different places that are close to me, that are open. Like last week, I went to Cedar Hill State Park. Wonderful things out there. I got to see some actual farm equipment that was designed and patented by Eli Whitney. And it was the pleasure of mine to help my niece with her her history homework that talked about the exact same equipment that I got to see. So, ladies and gentlemen, y'all know I always say I have amazing guests. I'm lucky. Lord knows I'm lucky, because, I'll be going into my 5th year next month, and I never thought I would have as many people listening to me as I do. But I still have another amazing guest. Her name is Kimberly Gardner. She is a student from Howard University. And y'all, she is in a program that she's starting now, and she's working her way to finishing her PhD. She is a rising senior at Howard right now. And I am going to give her the mic and let her tell y'all about herself. Kimberly, can you tell my guest about yourself?
Hi, Dr. Payton. Thank you so much for having me. Hello, All STEM Radio listeners. My name is Kimberly Gardner. I am a rising senior at Howard University. I study nutritional sciences. I minor in chemistry, and I have a concentration in dietetics. I am originally from Porus, Jamaica, and I currently live in Jersey City, New Jersey.
Okay. Now, how long have you been in the U.S. from Jamaica, if you don't mind me asking?
I've been in the U.S. since the age of 9, so
okay.
Yeah.
So
it's been kind of like half my life now.
So you got to do some growing up in Jamaica.
Yes, I did.
I have friends from there, but I haven't been there yet. I've been to the Bahamas, and I've been a whole lot of Kenya, Africa, whatever, but I haven't been to Jamaica yet. That is a place that is on my list to go.
I highly recommend it after the pandemic is over.
Oh yeah. But I should have went earlier, but that's okay. It'll still be there when the pandemic is over. So I'm excited about being able to travel again. Kimberly, can you tell us a little bit about what brought you to Howard? And before we go any further.
Yeah, sure, no problem. I applied to 8 universities my senior year of high school. I had made a pact with myself to apply to at least one HBCU. And so it was teeter-tottering between Spelman and Howard. But what really, really motivated me to apply to Howard was the amount of scholarships available, but based on SAT score alone. Shout out to all the Spelmanites out there, but they really don't give as many scholarships as Howard does. And also my mentor, Cameron Clark, he went to my high school. He had gone to Howard, and he was in his senior year at the time. So all of that combined, I definitely applied. I never, ever thought I would be a Karsh STEM Scholar. At the time, it was Bison STEM Scholar. It was a very new program. I'm a part of the inaugural cohort, and I definitely could have never believed that everything that had happened to me now would have happened then.
So hey, you just mentioned something, the Karsh STEM Scholar. That's something I want to make sure we talk about later.
Sure.
Now, when you got accepted to Howard, and your first stepping on that college campus, how was that?
Yes,
as a young lady.
I'll never forget that day. I got into Howard in November, and I wasn't really thinking about it yet because the tuition was definitely too high. So I was thinking about staying local and everything. And then in February, somewhere around February or March, I got an email saying, we're inviting you to be a part of this program. Check it out, apply. So it was like a sub-application. And so I applied. I was a semifinalist, and I will never forget April 1st, 2017. I was on Howard's campus with 149 other brilliant Black future STEM majors. It was amazing. I have never been around so many incredible people in my life. I was like, you sure you want me? But it was definitely really fun. I went with my parents and my little sister. It was awesome. But at the time, like nothing was offered to me, like scholarship wise or anything. So I believe it was around April. They said, oh, you can get in, but it's contingent on you fulfilling the summer requirements. So there was talk of it, but like nothing was set in stone until I finished the 6-week summer bridge program.
Okay. What was the bridge program all about?
They wanted to, the transition from high school to college is sink or swim for some students, especially when it comes to STEM majors. So they wanted to eliminate that, and this program is mirrored off the UMBC Meyerhoff Scholars Program, and the president, Dr. Rabowski, really encourages the summer bridge program. So we took Calculus 1 for credit, as well as an African American cluster, Afro-American Studies, Intro to African American Studies, for credit as well. So we took 7 credits total, but we also took an introduction to chemistry and an introduction to physics course, not for credit, but to get our feet wet and to help build confidence within us. We also had a lot of guest speakers who have PhDs or MD PhDs. So it was definitely a bonding moment, and as well to build up our confidence in our academic capabilities.
Okay, and this was part of your first year of college?
Yes.
Or was this before? Okay.
This was before. I graduated on June 22nd or 23rd, and I was on Howard's campus like June 25th or so. Like it was a fast turnaround time for me.
And you were how old then?
I wasn't even 18 yet. I was still 17 because I'm an August baby.
Yeah, me too. So I was the same way. Wow. What did your parents think through all this? Their baby is leaving New Jersey and going to DC on a college campus by herself.
I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure they trust me. I've always been a trustworthy child. It wasn't my first time leaving leaving New Jersey to go to a college campus. 2 summers before that, I spent 6 weeks on Cornell's campus, but for a writing program. So I'm sure I have given them enough, testing the waters type thing for them to trust me as well. And the program was heavily guarded. Like we couldn't go anywhere by ourselves. Our Our program director always made sure that our bridge assistant was with us. And we always walked together in a group to class. So we were very safe.
Okay. Now, how successful were you in that bridge program over the summer?
I was very successful, hence the scholarship. So yes, I was very successful.
Good. What was the hardest part of that program that you experienced?
That is a very good question. I think the hardest part was, I would say, the reading, the academic reading.
Okay.
When it comes to the African American Studies class, it was a lot of reading. And there's a joke that STEM majors can't read, but we definitely can. And so just trying to keep up with the reading was a lot of work, but it was definitely worth it, for sure.
Okay. Hey, if you had it to do again, would you do it over?
Would I do it over? I would do it over. I definitely would. I met my best friends there during that program as well. So yes, I would, for sure.
Okay. All right. So once you got into your regular program, your regular college, your regular courses after this bridge program, how did you feel about being at Howard?
Oh, I absolutely love Howard. 100% would recommend to everyone. My college, the College of Nursing and Allied Health Sciences, I don't want to say anything negative, so I'm not going to say anything. But it's one of the few universities in the U.S. that has the coordinated program in dietetics. So I believe there are only 30. And so once you graduate, you get to take the CDR, the Commission on Dietetic Registration exam, to become a registered dietitian. Other universities, you'd have to go somewhere else to do the clinical component, whereas at Howard, they combine everything. It's a lot of work, it's a lot of stress, and but I'm sure it will definitely be worth it once I graduate and take that exam.
But I like that. I really, really like that. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are just joining us, this is Dr. Mary Payton with All About STEM Radio. As you know, I come to y'all every Monday from 7 to 8 p.m. Central Time on Fishbowl Radio Network from Globe Life Park, Arlington. And I am talking to this amazing young lady, Kimberly Gardner, who is a student at Howard University. And she was just talking about her starting at Howard and giving us a little input about the Karsh STEM scholarship, which she is a part of, which I am so excited about. And Kimberly, let me ask you a little bit about the Karsh STEM Scholars Program, not scholarship, scholars. Mm-hmm. Give me a little background on that, or if you know any background on that, because I did a lot of reading and I don't want to do all the talking. I'm an old teacher, and that's what we do. We just talk and talk and talk.
Sure, I'll give it to you based on my understanding. So in October 2016, our program director, Mr. Ron Smith, was hired, I believe by the provost, I'm not sure. But the program itself, it was originally Bison STEM Scholars Program. It was the like a dream baby of our President Wayne A.I. Fredericks, and as well as the Provost Ruta. And they wanted to make sure that there was a pipeline program for African American students who are interested in STEM so that they can get a terminal degree in, like, that means a PhD or an MD PhD. I want to clarify that this program is not for MD medical doctor. It's an MD PhD combined. And I believe that's an 8-year program as well. And so originally, I believe there were about 30 in our cohort. I am not certain on the number, and we're in our 4th year. They're interviewing for the 5th cohort right now. Our name changed last year when we got, I believe it was, I don't want to say the number, it was wrong, but it was in the millions, donation by a husband and wife team with the last name Karsh, which is why our name changed. So now we have like an endowment building, but it takes time. And so it's definitely for a long-lasting program. And I do want to credit the UMBC Meyerhoff Scholars Program. They are the blueprint for this, for sure.
Okay. All right. my adopted daughter, Valine, she's already hitting you up. She goes, yay, nutrition science,
Yay!
science, whoop, whoop. She's funny. She's finishing her dissertation at the University of Alabama, Birmingham,
That's
in
amazing.
nutrition science.
I
So,
have to shout out UAB because I just published with them on January
what? Whoa,
15th.
whoa, 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 whoa. What did you published?
Yes,
When
I'm
did
a
you
second
publish?
author. Oh, I'm a second author on a paper that I did with Dr. Pauline Jolly, and she is a professor in the at the University of Alabama at Birmingham. So shout out to her as well.
What was the paper?
It was knowledge, attitudes, and practices about among healthcare professionals on common alternative medicine. I don't want to butcher the title, but I think I just did. Sorry, Dr. Jolly, if you're listening, but I can send it to you after. But
Okay.
yes, and I vlogged the whole thing. It was 15 and a half months of writing, but we did 11 weeks in Jamaica collecting the data for the MERT program.
Oh, okay. That's exciting. Oh my
Yes.
goodness. Y'all, she's published. She's published, okay? She's published. We're not going to talk about being published, but she's published, y'all. So that is exciting.
Thank you. And shout
All right.
out to your daughter.
Yeah, she's had under her dissertation program, she's had to publish different works on her that relate to her dissertation. And I'm like, okay, I don't understand some of this stuff, but I know how to write. So, but yeah, Valine she's doing wonderful. And y'all, for those people who know me, she's one of the kids that I've adopted. Y'all know I've got a lot of adopted kids. But yeah, she'll finish her doctorate in May, so I'm excited. But anyway, back to you, Kimberly. Because wait a minute, y'all, this girl has published, and she's like 12 years old. No, I'm teasing. She's over 12. She's over 18.
You could just flip it. I'm 21, so it works.
Okay. She's 21 and has published. Now, let's go back to the program, the Karsh program. How long are you in the program to finish your doctorate? Is it like supposedly a 8-year program, a 10-year program?
At Howard, you spend 4 years or 5, depending. For me, it will be 5 because I took a leave of absence for a year. And each summer, they require you to apply to 7 summer internship programs to make sure that you have that experience. So when you apply to grad school, your resume, your CV is up to standard, and also your exposure to research. And so in the contract that I signed, it says I have to apply to 13 PhD programs before I graduate from Howard. So that's on my to-do list for this upcoming year. And then they would love if you get your PhD at Howard, but they also don't mind if you go somewhere else. So I plan on going somewhere else, and that's what's on the horizon for me, and that's how the program works.
That's exciting.
Mm-hmm.
That is exciting. Have you been comfortable with getting everything done within this 4 years? I mean, some people it takes them 5 years to get their first degree, or 6 years. Have you been comfortable with your trajectory on moving forward?
Yes, I am comfortable with my trajectory moving forward. I only have 24 credits left. And as I said, it's going to take me 5 years because I took this 1 year off.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, and I'm all for everyone's journey being specific to them and how long it takes them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that, and then some programs take that too. They'll put you on a program and say, okay, in 6 years you'll finish your bachelor's, your master's, and your doctorate, or 7 years.
Wow.
So I've seen those programs, and they are they're working. Mm-hmm. They're really, really working.
Yes.
Now under Karsh, the STEM scholars.
Yes.
What do they look at for students getting in?
It's funny because I get this question all the time, especially in my emails. And they're definitely looking for students who are committed to a lifetime of research and making an impact on this field. And the one thing I've always stressed to the people who I do email is that you have to be curious because research is ever changing. I'm sure like a lot of researchers right now, they're pivoting to include COVID-19 on their like their grant proposals and such. They're looking for students who have amazing SAT scores and ACT scores.
Mm-hmm.
High school research is not required, but it would definitely help. And I would definitely say one of the most important things is a student with clear vision. Like you don't have to know exactly what you want to do, but you should have some sense of direction and know how to write about that in your essay and show it as well.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yes. It's a whole application thing. I believe it was due January 31st or February 1st.
Yeah,
It's pretty recent.
I was looking at that today, and it opens in November and
Yes.
it goes through the end of January, which means it pretty much just closed just a
Yes,
couple of weeks ago.
it did. Hmm.
So I'm looking at some of the fields they have in here: agriculture, biology, chemical engineering, chemistry, civil engineering, and so on and so forth. There are a lot of things in here
Yes.
that they have. So, I am proud of you.
Thank
You'll have
you.
to become one of my nieces. I'm proud of you.
I'd be honored.
And hey, y'all, this is not the only thing that Kimberly does. She is not just a student. You have also presented, I mean, now that I'm finding out you have published also.
That's very recent.
It doesn't matter. You did it at 21. I hadn't published. I didn't publish till I was probably in my 30s, and it was with the Department of Defense, and it's 7 of their books, so my name ain't even on it, but I know I did them. But I want to ask you a question before I get into your a presentation that you have in your bio that you made. As a young African American female, what was your perception of being in STEM or when you were younger?
Hmm. I think I have a very recent example. Last night I was watching Captain America, and I realized that why I wasn't interested in STEM when I was younger is because it's always depicted as a bad thing, right? So you have the main characters who are making these serums or in these labs, but they're always doing it for evil or it's to help
Yeah.
the bad guy. And the only good thing I could see that's the opposite of that is the Powerpuff Girls. Like he was a STEM man as well,
Yeah.
and but there was no representation. There was nothing on TV. There was nothing on YouTube. There was nothing online. The only STEM I knew of was the healthcare field, nurses, doctors, but not necessarily like a researcher at all. And so it was definitely new. It was definitely a challenge. And so when I wrote my essay to get into the Karsh Scholars Program, I definitely was just like, well, this is a long shot because I don't even know if I'll make it. Not into the program, but like further on in my career. Like it just seemed like such a long shot, but I'm just like, well, I'm gonna try. I have like a quote that I live by, and it's you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. So I took that shot, and here I am, and I definitely make it my duty to make sure that a lot of Black women who are younger than me, older than me, the same age as me, my peers, they see me and they know that it's possible. And I try to be as open as I can about my journey as well.
And what you're saying is so true and so historical because until the invent of the internet,
Hmm.
we didn't know. I mean, I knew some people because my mother was an avid reader and she would tell us about all of these people. But you didn't know because they weren't out there in the forefront. They were working in their fields. They were
Yeah.
doing great stuff in their fields, but you had to search them out.
Yes.
I mean, you know, with my years in the military, most of the things that I made sure I wrote about were African Americans in the military, African American officers, African Americans in leadership roles. That's why I took the branch that I took, which was chemical, because that was the only branch we could go into that was not service support, like laundry and bath or being a cook or something like that. That was the only technical field they would let us in when they integrated the military, and that's why I picked that. But you are so right. I mean, we are still not seeing how we're represented. We're not openly represented in our field. And so, I mean, look at Katherine Johnson. She didn't get awarded in her field till we got an African American president by President Obama. You know, I know I just went on a rampage, y'all, but that's my thing. I can do that. It's my show. I can do that.
Yes, you can. And it actually reminded me of like why I love Howard so much. In high school, in Jamaica, all my teachers were black, 100%. But in high school, they were of many different races. But at Howard, not every, I would say 95% of my professors in the STEM field were from the African diaspora. And I cannot tell you how much of a difference it makes to learn organic chemistry from a black man. It's mind-blowing. It is completely mind-blowing, and it's such a unique experience, and I'm so grateful to Howard for that.
Oh, girl, you are. I mean, that's a blessing, because that's not the background I had, although I did fine, because back in the 70s where I went to UTA to get my undergraduate, because I went to TCU for my first master's, we didn't even have an African-American in the 70s, 1976, we did not have an African-American professor on campus.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah. I'm just saying, we didn't even have one professor. They got their first African-American professor at UTA in 1982. Oh. I know. And she taught history. She was real cool, though. She was really, really nice. But anyway, I'm not going to say we got off subject, because there is no topic here, because it's just our wonderful conversation. But for those of you who are just joining us, I have a awesome guest from Howard University, Kimberly Gardner. She is a Karsh STEM scholar at Howard University. She is published. I'm going to keep saying that because she is published, y'all. And she is a rising senior, which means she will be graduating shortly. So I am very, very proud of her. And I'm quite sure there are a lot of people that are just in your corner.
Yes.
So, hey, now I want to switch subjects just a little bit. We talked earlier about a speaking thing that you did, a presentation that you did.
Yes.
Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Sure. In October, we had Black in Science Communication Week on Twitter, and if anyone is confused by that, there are a lot of Black in blank weeks on Twitter ever since the bird watcher in Central Park in New York City was racially profiled by that lady with her dog. And so a lot of it all started with Black Birders Day, I believe. And then it gradually kept going into week, and each week the subject changed. And it was started by Raven Baxter, Raven the Science Maven. I currently work for her, but at the time I didn't. So that was really cool. And I co-hosted the workshop with Rakib Tesfaye. She lives in Canada. And I personally spoke about alternative text, as well as accessibility in STEM and why conferences should have ASL interpreters there. And I 100% want to credit everything I've learned about alternative text to Bojana Kokliat and Shannon Finnegan, who taught me how to use alt text as poetry. So yeah, it's really, really interesting. And in case anyone doesn't know, alternative text is used to describe an image. But if someone is using a screen reader, it will read the image as it is. But a lot of people, for example, on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram, post the pictures without having a descriptive caption. And if somebody's living with low vision, or if they have, or they're blind, they'll never know what that text or that picture represents or describes. And so it's up to us as human beings who have high regard for each other to, just take that extra 30 seconds to 1 minute and describe the image we're posting. And I have made it my mission to do that. And that's how Black in Science Communication Week found me, because I tweet about it often. And they just DM'd me, and I said yes. So yeah.
Okay. Y'all, I'm not on Twitter. Some people don't tweet. I'm on Facebook and Instagram, and that stresses me out enough.
Yes. But alt text can be used on all platforms. Even Microsoft Word has the option.
Oh, okay. All right. So I mean, we're learning. These platforms are changing so much, and we're learning so much how to use these platforms. Because when I was teaching, because I just stopped teaching in January full time. A lot of my students would say, Dr. Payton, you talk too fast. I want to get what you're saying other than just getting the PowerPoints. And, in Microsoft, on your drive, if you open up a document, you can do a voice to text, and it will capture everything. Yes. It may not capture it perfectly, but it's enough to where you could adjust it and help you with notes.
Yes, and that's an accessibility feature. And a lot of us don't recognize that it's not for able-bodied people. It's, and so just recognizing those little things, although we can use it, yes, but somebody had to come up with the idea to say, how can we make life fulfilling for this person who cannot type but can speak? And so that's how that feature came about.
Yeah, and I used to tell a lot of my dyslexic students to use the text-to-speech because they say the words will float off the page. And I mean, I'm dyslexic, so I've got the same problem. That's why I learned that would help me. And I noticed that their grades went up because they could actually hear the words in science that they weren't understanding before. So, these features are very, very important and imperative.
Yes.
Now, Kimberly, like I said, y'all notice she's a student, she's published, she's speaking at conferences, and I'm going to tell y'all, these virtual conferences are amazing. And I've got a caveat, because we were talking earlier before I go to my next thing. We were talking about, we know some of the same people.
Yes, we do.
And I felt that was so funny. Because see, Stephanie was on the show she was on the show in September, just before the second STEM Success Conference.
Woo!
Now, how did you meet Stephanie?
None of these people actually know me. I'm just a huge fan. I'm a huge fan of all of them. I started following Stephanie, I would say, before Christmas break of my junior year. So definitely before 2020, I'd say 2019. And there's just not a lot of science communicators who are Black out there, and so it's really easy to find the ones that are out there. And so I definitely found Stephanie's page with ease, and then I found STEM Media because of Nehemiah is very, very active on there. Yes. And Dr. Corey Grayson, I found her on TikTok. I don't have TikTok, but her video went viral. Yeah. And when she did her whole graduating from Cornell video with her PhD in, what does she have? Is it biomedical engineering? I'm
I
not
can't
sure,
remember.
but it's something. And so that's how I found all of them. And then with the STEM Success Summit, I believe Jabril
Yeah.
Mohammed
Yep.
definitely posted about it, and then I followed. And actually, Jabril's brother is um, one of my cohort members and one of my dearest friends, Amin
Oh.
Mohammed. He's actually my first friend from Howard, like ever, that I met that day on April 1st. So yeah, it's all full circle.
And I'm telling you, I am so proud of how y'all are using science communication to meet each other, to follow each other, to communicate with each other, to include communicating with this old bird right here, because I just learned what science communication was from Stephanie. Because I had never heard the phrase until about August, and she was on the show in September, and we were talking, and she was getting her doctorate in science communication. I'm like, what is that? And she explained it to me, and she goes, well, you're a science communicator. I'm like, oh,
Yes,
I
you
am.
are.
So I'm finding that I'm a new term. But, all of y'all are stepping out there and doing things to where we're recognized and we can be seen.
Yes.
And, our kids are no longer saying, well, there's no one out there like me that's in, chemical engineering or nutrition or, mechanical engineering or aerospace engineering, because we've been out there forever,
Yes.
but nobody's ever seen us.
Wow.
And so that's what makes me so proud of all of you guys, because y'all are so cool. And I'm like, I'm supposed to be retired, and this is like my third time, and we're going to see how long this lasts. We're going to see how long this lasts. But I'm so extremely proud of y'all. And hey, y'all, this is not the end for her. I got to tell you, I'm not through. Guess what? She also has, speaking of science communication, she also has a YouTube channel called Kimberly's Road to PhD. Mm-hmm. It aims to inspire and encourage Black women in STEM by showing her journey. So you got to tell me about this.
Okay, I started it in July. What was it, 2018 or 2019? I started it in July. I believe it's 2019, yes. And I was receiving a lot of questions, especially from prospective Karsh students. Like, okay, so what's this? What was this? Oh, you did that program at UC San Diego. What was it like? What was it about? And there's a saying that if you have to do something more than once or answer a question more than once, then it means you need to automate it, right? And I use that a lot, as a virtual assistant, definitely having templates ready, because I get the same question over and over again. So I said, you know what, I'm going to make a video about this, and hopefully it will ward off the questions, because I try to personalize messages. I don't like copy and paste. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to make this video about how I got into the Karsh Scholars Program and all that jazz. And then I took it a step further, and I was like, you know what? It would be really nice for people to see the whole journey, the whole process, because when I was Googling and going on YouTube about trying to look for people with PhDs who look like me, the application process, I only found 3 people. One of them was MD, PhD, and me, which is Chelsea Nevy. The other one, who's also a Howard alum, and she's currently a Stanford MD PhD student. So shout out to you, Chelsea. And Dr. Ijoma Kola. Right now she lives in Kenya, but she got her, I think it's DRPH at Columbia. And the other one is Dr. Amina Yanis, and she lives in London, 100% a Londoner. And I've never met her. She doesn't know me. But those are the only 3 Black women I could find. So I'm like, well, I'll add my name to the hat. Let's see how it goes. And I believe my authenticity and the way I'm going about showing it is different, but it's 100% like just my journey. I'm doing this for them, but I'm also doing it for me. I like going back and watching my videos to see how far I've come as well. So yeah, I hopefully answered the question.
You did, you did. And if y'all are looking for her on YouTube, her videos are Kimberly's Road to PhD.
Mhm.
So, and I am going to connect you with Valine Garberry.
Is
She
that your
is
daughter?
the young lady, yep, my adopted daughter.
Yes.
She is finishing up her doctorate in nutrition, and they just gave me a little warning here, but I'm gonna be good. I'm gonna be good since I have a new producer tonight. I had to be nice, but I love him too. Have to put him on the cookie list.
Yes.
But anyway, so you know, you mentioned a little bit about what's next, applying to schools for your PhD program. Or no, for your master's. Are you applying for master's? Or are you applying for a PhD slash master's program?
It's that is a tricky question because I'm doing both, but I want to emphasize that the Karsh Scholars Program is preparing us to apply directly into PhD programs, and a lot of
Oh,
members in my cohort have recently gotten into their PhD programs within the last 2 weeks. I'm really happy and proud. Yeah, I love them so much, and it's a lot of hard work, and I definitely want to commend them. And for me, the research I want to do, there's really only one university in the whole world where I have found that they do it to a T, exactly how I want it to like be done, and it's in England at the University of Reading. And I have
okay.
considered getting my PhD there, but it's too far, it's too cold, and it's rainy a lot. And I was like, I don't want to spend 3 to 4 years in England doing my PhD. So there is a program called the Marshall Scholars Program that I'll be applying to get to the University of Reading to do a master's. But I'm applying to everything at the same time and then
Yeah.
deferring for a year for the PhD. But in the PhD, I want to do it in the US. But I'm like crossing my fingers, crossing my T's, dotting my I's to get to the University of Reading any way I can.
Yeah. My producer last week, he is getting his master's in music and physics. I know how those go together, but some people may not understand how music
They
and
go
physics go
together.
together. And he got accepted and he'll be leaving in August to go to school in England.
Wow, congratulations
I
to
know.
him.
He graduated from TCU, one of my alma maters, and we were talking about that last week. So, England is really not bad. I've been there a few times. It was just odd that it's cold when it's summer for us over here. It's cold over there for them,
But
and to see
how,
snow on the 4th of July freaked me out.
how is it cold over if we're both in the northern hemisphere? How is it cold over there? I'm confused.
I don't know. The times I've gone over there in the summertime, it has been freezing. And like I
Wow.
said, when it snows in July in London, it snows in July in London. But if you go to Bath,
Hmm.
if you go to Bath, it's warm there. It just
Wow.
depends on where you are. See, we were around London. I was working at a military concern right behind Stonehenge, and so it was cold in July. But if you go to other parts, it just depends on where you are.
Yes.
It just depends on where you are. The weather over there is strange. You
Yes.
think I'm in Texas, and hey, I moved from Hawaii on January 9th. I got back here from Hawaii. On January 10th, it was snowing. So I went from being on the beach to having to wear snow boots. And it hasn't snowed since. I don't know. But we've got about 5 minutes left. Um, what would you want to tell some of our young men and women who are afraid to step into the STEM arena?
Um, Thank you for the question. I will definitely say that you can do it 100%, and you have so many people rooting for you, whether or not you can see them or not. I don't want to get too spiritual, but God
No.
definitely has a plan for you. And if you believe that this is the plan, I would say execute it and follow through to the best of your abilities. And never ever be too proud to ask for help, whether it's opening a can or a jar of pasta sauce or just with your homework. Like, it's definitely important to lean on others, especially when you need that support. And I wouldn't be here without my support group. And I'm sure your support group will help you see it through to the end.
hmm And y'all, that is extremely, extremely important because you've got, and that's something that has been a comment on several of my shows when it came to young people of color, Hispanic, African American, um, was finding that group that supported you.
Hmm.
And so, but you know, what can you do? You've got to put yourself out there,
Yeah.
and at least try it,
Hmm.
and at least try it. But I'm thinking about this, and I'm thinking about the fact that you're going into nutrition. Um, how did you step into that?
Um,
Because you know we every kid say they want to be in STEM, but then you ask them, well, what do you want to do? Oh, I just want to be an engineer. What kind of engineer? Just an engineer. So,
I'm definitely not anti art or anything like that. I have a huge artistic side to me, and I definitely wanted to be an audio engineer, but like with the music production. And
that's what
if
my
in a
son
different
does.
shout out to your friend, if I had a different
No, my,
life.
my actual son.
Oh, I'm sorry.
But anyway, go
Um,
go go.
Yes, but I grew up with a very agricultural grandfather. He was a farmer for most of his life, and we
Wow.
definitely ate from the land. My grandma raised chickens, and so nutrition has always been a part of my life. I didn't know how it would manifest into like my current state of living right now, but in high school in the state of New Jersey, you have to take physical education for 4 years if you go to a public high school, and uh, half of the year was physical education, the other half was nutrition. And so I was learning about like the food groups and what they do to your body and why it's important to fuel ourselves. And I would go to school with like a toaster strudel and Sunny D for breakfast, and didn't realize that like I would crash by 9 a.m., but I didn't know why. And so just learning like how to pair protein and carbs and fat correctly was really interesting. And then when I actually sat down and my parents were like, you have to decide on a career, and I was like, okay, what can I do? And like I just looked at all the careers in nutrition, and a registered dietitian seemed to fit. I like the certifications that have to come into it, the fact that I'll always be held accountable, the fact that I'll always continue to grow my field. And so that's how I decided on it.
Love that. And I love the
Thank
fact
you.
you're talking about growing in your field
Yes, it's
because,
really important.
yeah, it is. It really, really is. And so, hey, I have enjoyed you being on this show. Please do not let this be your last time.
Oh, of course not. I can come back whenever.
Okay, because we've got to see your journey because you're such an amazing young lady, and I love the fact that our paths crossed. Because I saw you pop up, I'm like, I need to know who this young lady is, and you probably say, who is this old lady trying to contact
No.
me? And you are amazing, and I have got to make sure y'all, if you want to follow her on YouTube, she is Kimberly's Road to PhD, which is going to be which is probably an amazing thing. I've got to start looking at that because I only found out today she had that. The young lady is published, and she is continuing to look at what she wants to do and where she wants to go to school and finish up. And I am so happy for all the things you said about Howard and going to a HBCU and seeing people who look like us, and shaping your future.